Okay, so for this last lesson of chapter 6, we're going to be talking about interest. So an interest is either money that you earn, money that you are lending, or money that you pay on money that you've borrowed. So like if you put money into the bank, you would be earning interest, versus if you took out a loan, you would be paying interest. So when we talk about simple interest, which is what most of the interest is that we work with, we have our equation I equals PRT, where I is the interest earned, P is the principal, which is the amount of money that you invested or borrowed, T is your time in years, and then R is your annual interest rate as a decimal. So if you're given the percentage, make sure that you divide by 100. Okay, so let's do a couple examples. We're going to find the simple interest, round to the nearest cent if necessary. Remember, that's 2 decimals. So part A, we have $1,000 at 4.5% for 2 years. So we always start out by writing our formula first. So I equals PRT. I'm looking for my interest, so we keep that I. Our principal, the money that we invested, is $1,000 times our rate, 4.5% divided by 100, so 0.045. Then our time in years, make sure it's always in years, is 2. So now all we have to do is substitute that into our calculator. So 1,000 times 0.045 times 2 gives us $90 interest. So $90 exactly. Okay, part B, $3,750 at 5.75% for 42 months. Okay, so again, I'm going to divide that by 100 so that our rate is 0.0575. And notice, my time is in months example. Your time must be in years. So since you're given months, we're going to take 42 divided by 12, since there's 12 months in a year, which gives us 3.5 years. So now we just write out a formula, I equals P RT. Again, we're looking for our interest. Our principal is 3,750 times our rate, so 0.0575 times our time, 3.5. Put all that in our calculator, multiply it out, and we get, rounded to the nearest cent, remember we're talking about money, so $754.69. Okay, so that was 2 examples of our simple interest. Now, still working with simple interest, we want to be able to find the interest rate. So Mr. Gable borrowed $1,860 to buy a computer. He will pay $71.30 per month for 30 months. We want to find the simple interest rate for his loan. So first off, he paid $71.30 for 30 months. Let's find out how much he paid total. So we're going to multiply that. So $71.30 times 30 tells us that he paid a total of $2,139. Now using that, I want to find how much interest he paid. So my interest would be the total amount that he paid minus our principal, so $1,860, tells us that he paid $279 in interest. Okay, now we have the information that we need. So if we go to our formula, I equals PRT. I now know that my I is 279. My principal is how much he borrowed, so 1,860. I don't know my rate, that's what I'm looking for. So times X times my time, and it was 30 months. So divide that by 12. Gives us 2.5 years times 2.5. Okay, so this one's a little different than the last 2 that we did because our variable is on this side. So we want to simplify as far as we can. I can't do anything with 279. On this side though, I can take 1,860 times 2.5, which gives us 4,650, still times x. Now think about what we did when we cross multiplied. You divided by the number that was with your variable. So divide both sides by 4,650, and we get that x equals 0.06. I want to know the percentage, so times 100 gives us 6% in interest. Okay, so there was an example where we had to find our variable on the right side of the equation versus just substituting in to find our interest. Okay, the very last part of this lesson. So far we've been working with simple interest. Now we're going to look at compound interest. So compound interest is paid on the initial principal and on interest earned in the past. So now you're earning money on your interest instead of just your principal. So we have that formula where P is still the principal, R is still the annual rate as a decimal. Now N is the number of times interest is compounded per year, and then T is still our number of years. Alright, so one example here. What is the total amount of money in an account where $600 is invested at an interest rate of 8.75% compounded annually for 2 years? Alright, so if we label everything, P is our principal, so that's 600. R is our rate as a decimal, so 8.75% would be 0.0875. Go ahead and do our T is time in years, so that's 2. Now our N, if it's compounded annually, we want to think how many times a year is annually. So our N would be 1. Now notice we have an N here, we also have an N here. They are the same N's. So A equals, we always write our formula first, P times 1 plus R divided by N, raised to the N times C. Make sure you put that in as an exponent. So now substituting in, we have everything over here labeled already, so we just have to substitute in. So A equals 600 times 1 plus 0.0875 over 1 raised to the 1 times 2. Again, make sure those are both in your exponent. Now at this point, we can just type this entire thing into your calculator. Make sure you type it carefully. And if we put that in, we get that A equals $709.59. Now, this is the total amount of money they had. This is not just interest. When we're talking about simple interest, that found just our interest amount, so be careful with the questions asking. And the simple interest is asking for the total amount in the account, in which case you would have to add the principal back in, or is it asking for just the amount of interest? Again, compound interest, your A is always going to be your total amount after that given amount of time, so not just the interest there. Okay, so you have 2 to try on your own. We have 1 simple interest problem at the top and 1 compound interest. Make sure you write your formula for each, show your substitution, and then calculate it out. Alright guys, that is the end of chapter 6.